I am 3 books away from completing my 2025 reading goal. We will be reading 3 books in this video to complete my entire 75 book reading goal for the year. I set my reading goal at 75 books for 2025. I actually read 52 books last year in 2024, so I wanted to up that a bit and challenge myself this year, and I feel like I did a really good job. Like, we still have over a month left of reading. It's currently Thanksgiving when I'm filming this, so I feel like I kind of killed it. I feel like I just read a lot more than I expected to. So I'll probably end up reading more than 75 books for the year because, like I said, we still have all of December to read, and there's still a few books that I really want to get to before the year is over. But let's just go over the 3 books that I want to read this week to complete my reading goal, which is so exciting. So I'm currently in the middle of 2 books. One of them is Anathema by Keri. This is a dark gothic fantasy romance, so I'll give an update on this in just a minute because I'm actually like 370 pages into this right now. But this is the first book on the TBR. The second one is Dawn of Chaos and Fury by Melissa K. Roehrich. That is the 4th and final book in the Legacy series. I'm already like 30% into that as well. And then for the last book, I'm not too sure what it will end up being, but it will probably end up being one of these 2. I'm trying to complete the A to Z challenge. I started that at the beginning of the year just because I thought it would be something fun to do, and I have like 5 or 6 letters left, I think. Only 2 books that I own on my physical TBR that could go towards that is these 2, and that is Into the Drowning Deep by Mira Grant and then Enigma by Roehrich. This is a dark romance. I've actually read the first like 50-ish pages of this or so, and I was enjoying it. I'm not like obsessed with it. I don't typically read dark romance, but I am intrigued by it, so this is a potential 3rd book for this reading vlog. And then the other one, like I said, is Into the Drowning Deep by Mira Grant. This is a sci-fi horror book that has to do with like these murderous, scary mermaids, I think. These are 2 potentials for the 3rd book. I'm not too sure, and I could also change my mind, but it'll probably end up being one of these 2. Just to give like an update on where I'm at in this book, like I said, I'm already 370 pages into this, and this is really interesting. I'm really liking it. It's a very immersive and layered world. There's like 15 pages of just like glossary and world map information, people, characters, like at the beginning of this book. So there's a lot to kind of grasp and learn before going into this book, but I think it's worth it because it's a lot of fun, and you can just kind of like go into it and kind of pick up on things as you read it, which I did with a lot of the stuff in here. But this is basically about a girl named Maeve who lives in the mortal land, and it's interesting because it's called the Eating Woods series, I'm pretty sure. And so she basically lives in this like small town, and there's these woods that are in their town that's basically where they banish people who have sinned or committed some type of crime, and they basically put them in there to be killed by these scary like monsters and things that are in the woods. Like, nobody's ever made it out of the woods and survived. So that's like Maeve and her mortal lands, and then on the other side of the woods there's these like this magical land, and that's where Zavander is from. He's the other POV in this book, and he has magic, of course, but he's also cursed. The prologue is where you actually read and find out like what happened to him and his family, and him and his brother carry this very unique kind of magic, I guess you could say, and it's basically a curse. And so he is on this like hunt basically to find all 7 of these stones that basically come from these 7 ancient bloodlines, and he needs to collect all these stones and give them to this mage who is trying to help him get rid of his curse. So basically that's what Zavander's doing. He's hunting down all these stones, and then Maeve, something happens. You read like a little bit of it on the back, but I don't want to spoil too much. But basically Maeve like finds herself in the woods, and they end up kind of like running into each other, and kind of just goes from there. And there's just a lot of questions. I'm excited to finish this and learn more about, well, both of their histories, I guess, like both of their bloodlines and kind of like what's going on, but especially Maeve, I'm excited to learn more about her and her history, because we've gotten like a little inkling of where I'm at so far. So I'm excited about that. And they're also about to train together, which is so exciting. I love that. So yeah, that's the update on Anathema so far. I'm hoping to finish this by tomorrow at some point. I have like 300 pages left, so hopefully I can finish it by tomorrow or Saturday. And then for Dawn of Chaos and Fury, I am 30 pages into that, and I can't really say too much about that book because it's the fourth and last book in a series, but basically it's a dark fantasy romance as well, and that one has to do with, there's like legacy, fae, and humans in that world, and the legacy have to bond with the fae to basically, that's like their source for their magic. And Tessa, who is the main character at the beginning of the first book, finds herself as a source to a legacy named Theon, and literally it's just like all hell from there. Like, it's truly insane. It's very dark, but it's kind of funny at some points too, just because all the characters in this are so broody and pissed off at all times, and it's just so unserious. Like, it's such a fun time. I am reading it on my Kindle, and then I have the audio for it as well. Hopefully I can finish this somewhat soon as well, and I'll just give an update on that. But I'm liking it so far. I think the only issue that I'm having with this series so far is that Tessa and her kind of like, I don't even know what to say, like, because Tessa, you find out a lot about her, like, and who she is and her ancestry, like, as you read the series. And I feel like that part of the books are a little bit dragged out throughout the series. But other than that, like, everything else is very, very entertaining. It's so interesting, like, all the other things that are going on in this world. There's also, like, vampires, and there's a place called the Underground where they kind of reside. And yeah, there's a lot of characters in this book, in this world, and so I'm really enjoying this. I'm happy to be back in this world. I read the first 3 books in this series back in like February, March time, so I'm happy that this is finally out and I can finally read it. And I feel like once I started listening to it and got back into it, I felt like I just like instantly got back into the world, so it's not too hard to like get into or follow along. That's the 2 updates that I have for the 2 books that I'm currently reading. And then, like I said, between these 2, I'll just let you know whichever one I end up picking up next. And then, yeah, I'll just give you an update as we go, and we will complete my 2025 reading goal, which is so crazy. I'm so happy and proud of myself. I love escaping into these worlds and falling in love with fictional characters, and I'm sure you do too if you're watching this. So yeah, I will give an update probably tomorrow night whenever I have one. Okay, hopefully this sounds okay with my car running because it's so cold right now. I just wanted to give a quick update before I head to work. I did finish Anathema the other day, and I think when I very first finished it, I rated it as 4.5 on Fable, but then I went back and changed it to a 4 because I really did enjoy it, but I think I was just expecting to like it a lot more than I did, and I think I just went into it with really, really high expectations and high hopes. So when I finished it, I was like thinking I liked it more than I did. Not that it was bad at all. I think I was just like a little bit underwhelmed by it, but I will continue with the series. I probably will order Eldritch at some point just so that way I have the matching paperback to go with it. And also I found out that it's not a duology, it's a series, so that's great. Had no idea. I literally thought it was a duology, but it was great. I thought the romance was really good. I liked the way that they kind of came together and the way that Zavander kind of ended up really just being like melting for her, because he was so like stern and like broody at the beginning, so like the more and more he realized that Mavis was his person, it was just really, really sweet. And speaking of like going into the second book with that, I'm really excited to kind of see how that goes, considering like what happened at the end and like what has to happen moving forward. So I'm really excited to continue the series. And also like with Mavis and her storyline with her sister, we got a big reveal with that at the end as well, like literally the very last line of the book. So I'm very intrigued to see like what the hell is going on with that as well. So yeah, I rated it 4 stars. I really liked it. I think I like the second book a little bit better, just since we'll already be in the world and there won't be so much like explaining and world building going on. We'll kind of just actually get to progress into the storyline, because it felt like with Anathema, like as long as it was, we didn't really like progress too much. We did, but like there definitely could have been more for like a 700-page book, if you know what I'm saying. So I'm just excited to read book 2 because I think I'll like it a lot more. So that's my update for Anathema. I rated it 4 stars, and then I am still trudging my way through Dawn of Chaos and Fury. I will finish it tonight though. I have like 6 hours left of my audiobook, so tonight while I'm at work I'll definitely finish that. I'll have plenty of time to finish it, and I'm enjoying it a lot more now that I'm more into it. And honestly, Melissa, the author, did a good job of naming her entire universe the Chaosverse, because literally all that's going on is just pure fucking chaos. Like there's just like, I think that's what's so entertaining and like keeps you interested in reading her books, is that like it's literally just like hell going on. Like everything is like always going to shit at all times. Everything is going wrong all the time. So I don't know, I'm actually really liking Tessa now that we're further into this book. Like the beginning of the other books, not that I didn't like her, but she just wasn't like my favorite female character ever. But now, like in this book, once we got past the whole like her repeating the same thing over and over, like now that we're like actually in it, like I'm really enjoying her. I'm really loving Theon so much in this book too. I did not like him in the other books, but now that him and Tessa finally are not like butting heads anymore, and they're finally on the same page that they like want to be with each other, it's so much more enjoyable to read. And plus we have Luca in that mix as well, and I love Luca. I've never read a book where it's kind of like the 3 of them, you know, and I really enjoy it. It's really nice. Still love Axel, still love Kat. Their storyline is also going to shit, so you know, everything's just like going crazy right now, and I'm really enjoying it. So, and also like there's still lots of the plot that we're kind of like figuring out and moving towards. So I know it's book 4 in the series, so I can't really say too much, but if you know what's going on, then you know. But you kind of know from book 1 there's something going on with her lineage, and there's you know, she at the beginning of the first book, she's made to be a source for Theon, who's a legacy, who's supposed to be more powerful than she is. But like what happens when this person who's supposed to be smaller ends up being stronger than everybody? Like, that's kind of like the whole plot of the series, is like, now what the hell is going on? So I'm really liking it. I will finish it tonight and give my update tomorrow on my rating, and hopefully I rate it really highly. I rated book 3 5 stars, so hopefully, I don't know if this one will be a 5 stars. I'm not really getting like 5-star feelings, but like I said, I am enjoying it more and more as we're getting into it, so you never know. And then for my third book, I did not end up starting either of the 2 books that I showed at the beginning, which was Into the Drowning Deep by Mira Grant, and then what was the other one? Oh, Enigma by Rue Nix. I didn't start either of those, but I will be reading those in my next reading vlog because I have to for my little A to Z challenge. But for my A to Z challenge, I still needed a J book, and I went to Barnes & Noble this weekend and I picked up Jade City because I saw these new covers that they have, and I thought they were absolutely gorgeous, and I'm eating this up. I am loving this. I'm already 120 pages into this, so I'm really liking this. This is kind of reminding me of House of Bane and Blood, except this is just fantasy instead of romantasy, because House of Bane and Blood is also, it's 2 rival, you could say like mafia families or 2 rival clans, and it's set in a fantasy world, so you still get like these like magical fantastical elements into it, but it's kind of like mafia vibes going on. And that's how House of Bane and Blood was, except it was romantasy, and this is just fantasy, and I'm really loving it. I like the writing style too. It kind of reminds me of Throne of Glass, where you're kind of just like, in each chapter you kind of don't know whose chapter it is. That's what it kind of reminds me of Throne of Glass, where we don't just have like 1 or 2 POVs, it's a lot of POVs, and like when you flip to the next chapter you kind of just like figure out what POV you're in, and there's a lot in this book, but it isn't confusing at all. I haven't felt confused at all while reading it, and I'm only reading the physical. I'm not listening to an audio or anything like that, so I feel like I'm able to kind of lock in and grasp onto things a little bit easier. But yeah, in this there's 2 rival families that come from, they originally are called the Green Bones, which are the people that can wield the Jade in this city, which is like, you know, it's like jade, like the crystal, and when you can wield it, you're basically kind of like turn into Fae, where you're like more powerful, more stronger, faster, all of these things. It was just the Green Bones, and then they split into two different like clans, and one of them's called the No Peak and the other one's called the Mountain. And we're kind of at a point in this world, like in this book, where a lot is changing. Like the two, they call them the pillars, which is like the highest people in each clan, and we're in a point in this book where the pillars have recently kind of changed and we're moving down into like a younger generation. I don't know, it's really interesting, and like I said, you get a lot of POV, so you're getting each clan's kind of POV and their reasoning and background on like why they feel the way that they do and the way that they want to do things. And then you're also getting some other POVs as well, like a sister and some outside people that aren't even in the clans and like things like that. So it's really fun. I'm really enjoying it. Like I said, it reminds me a lot of House and Bane and Blood, which I really enjoyed. And this is basically that, just without the romance as much, but in a lot more like high fantasy, I would say. And this is set in it's Asian inspired, so it's set like on an island outside of what would be like Asia, I guess, but like obviously fantasy, so not real. But yeah, I'm really loving this, and it's a completed series. I don't know, anyway, I'm really enjoying this. I'm gonna continue reading this physically, and I'll finish I'm gonna finish Dawn of Chaos and Fury tonight, update you tomorrow, and then I'll update you again whenever I finish this, hopefully this week, because I want to post this video by this weekend. So we will see. That was my really quick, sorry if I was talking like super fast, but I have to go to work, so I was trying to like get all of my thoughts out so that way I could at least have this noted right now and not have to like go back and remember what I was thinking. But yeah, like I said, I'll update you probably tomorrow after I finish Dawn of Chaos and Fury, and then just go from there. Oh my gosh, you guys, we're almost done with our 2025 reading goal, which is crazy. It's been quite a few days since my last update and since I finished the books that I was reading for this video, and I almost decided just not to finish this video or post it at all, because I think I only gave pretty much like one update throughout, and then so much time had passed that I didn't think it would be that enjoyable to watch. But I'm gonna stick to it. I'm just gonna give my thoughts on all the books I read and just celebrate the fact that I reached my reading goal, even though reading goals are just for fun. It's not like if you don't hit it or if you do, it doesn't really matter either way. But I just thought it was something fun to do and celebrate and make a video out of, so I just wanted to complete it and talk about the books that I read, especially because I really enjoyed the books that I read in this video for the most part, and so I just wanted to talk about them, especially the last one, because I really didn't give any updates or my final thoughts at all, so I just really wanted to talk about that book. Let me just go like from the beginning and just give my overall thoughts, because in that one update I gave, I was trying to talk so fast because I was in such a rush to get to work, and I was trying to just like vomit all of my thoughts because I wanted to get them out before I forgot about them or while they were still really fresh in my mind. But basically, the first book that we read in this video was Anathema by Keri, and I really enjoyed this. I haven't thought about it too much since I finished it, but I know that the second one, or at least I hope the second one, I will enjoy a lot more than I did this one. It's interesting because sometimes when I rate books right when I finish them, I end up either changing it like higher or lower a few days after, once I kind of sat with it and processed like what I read and how I felt about it. So initially I rated this 4.5, and I think a big reason for that is because I've only seen amazing reviews about this and everybody absolutely devouring and loving this book, which I did. I loved a lot about this book. I loved The main characters that were in this and the side characters, I really enjoyed them. I felt like I got to know them really well and the parts that they played in the story. So the characters I enjoyed, the setting I really enjoyed. I thought it was so cool how it was like the mortal land and the magical land and then this forest in between that everybody kind of had these big feelings and thoughts about because it was so scary, I guess. Like the woods themselves were just like a mystery in their own. The setting was very eerie and dark and gothic, and I really enjoyed that. The magic system I thought was really cool. I feel like this book was just a very long setup for the rest of the series, and I thought it was a duology, so I wasn't expecting that going into this. I thought this book would be a lot more, it was very in-depth, of course, but I thought we would get a lot more into the storyline. But since it's a series and not just a duology, it makes sense why this one was just kind of like the intro. So I'm really excited for the second book and where that goes as far as like getting more into Zavander's story and learning more about Mavis' history and her lineage, because like I said, we kind of just got like the tip of the iceberg in this one. So initially rated it 4.5 and then later on I rated it 4, or like, yeah, I think I changed it to a 4 because I still really enjoyed this. Like I said, I just feel like okay, sorry, I had to pause because somebody walked into my house and then walked right back out and I had no clue who it was, and I looked on my like the Find My iPhone or whatever app where I can see my whole family and nobody is here. I'm kind of scared. I don't know who that was. The only person that it could have been that I don't have their location is my Nana, but I don't know why she just would have walked in and left. I don't know. Anyway, back to Anathema. I rated this 4 stars, I'm pretty sure. I'm really excited to read the second book. The second book that I read for this video was of course Dawn of Chaos and Fury, and I did listen to it. If I'm being completely honest, I was a little bit let down by that book, especially because it was the finale, like the final book in the series. There were just a lot of things that I personally was not obsessed with, and if you go on Fable or Goodreads or whatever and look at the reviews, like there are 5 stars everywhere for that book. Everybody, I mean, of course, if it's the last book in the series, the people that are already invested and we're looking forward to the release of that book are most likely gonna love it, you know. But I personally just found myself a lot of times throughout the book, I just wasn't obsessed with it. And what's crazy is, as far as the characters go in the rest of the series, I was kind of annoyed by them because that's kind of a common topic about this series, is that the characters are very like you kind of hate them, and then they have a lot of character growth throughout the series. So in book 4, I did notice that. I really liked Theon in book 4, whereas the rest of the series I really did not enjoy him at all. Tessa I liked a lot in book 4. The only problem was I feel like her character is so repetitive. It's like she goes through this constant cycle of like being pissed off at the world and being like, because she knows like her character, you find out like who she is at the end of book 3 pretty much, but it's like a big lead up, like you kind of already know. But it's like she constantly reiterates like, this is who I am stronger and fiercer and greater than all of you, and all of you can bow down to me, I don't give a fuck. And then she goes through this phase of being like soft again and being like, okay, like I'm just so tired, I'm so tired of giving my all, I'm so tired of fighting and all these things. And she's like, and then someone will piss her off and it's like the cycle all over again. And it's like, I don't know, it just felt so, her character is so repetitive in my opinion, and it was really hard to read in book 4 because it felt very constant. Like in the other books it didn't feel as repetitive, like it felt like meaningful, but for some reason in this book, and I don't know if it's because I was pretty much only listening to it, and so the audiobook narrator, like it was almost like I was just like hearing it on repeat, you know. I don't want to make it sound like it was that big of a deal, but it kind of was. And then the other characters in this series I still really liked. I really liked Luca, in the other books, but for some reason in this book he was a little bit annoying. I think because he got a little bit like possessive over Tessa, which is fine, but it was like a little bit cringy at times, like just a little bit. And then the other characters in this book, like Axel and Kat, I still really enjoyed them. Corbin and Lang, really liked them, and Eviana, they were kind of, those three were kind of like on their own journey. I really enjoyed that. Like their storyline definitely kept me intrigued. And then when we went back to like Tessa and Theon, I was kind of just like, I don't know, something about it just really, and I think a lot of it was the fact that the book was 1,000 pages and so much of it was repetitive. And like, for example, like Axel's storyline and like Kat's storyline, there was a big thing that happened in book 4 that it was like this huge talked about topic and this big worry that was happening, and then at the end of it, it ended up not being that big of a deal. Like it ended up being fine. So it was like, okay, if a book's gonna be 1,000 pages, I want it to be meaningful and worth it, not just for something to be like this big problem just for the sake of it being a problem, and then for the end of it not to even have like a reason for it, you know? I don't know, it just, something about it just didn't hit the same way that the other books did for me. Like book 3 I rated 5 stars, and then book 4 I'm rating 3.75. Like that's just how I felt about it. And I do feel bad because the ending, it felt very wholesome and it felt like it came full circle. It felt like we got a really conclusive ending. However, how we got there just wasn't my favorite for the ending of a series, if that makes sense. Like it didn't feel like we had this huge big lead up and battle and result, you know? I don't know. That's just my personal opinion. But everybody else is rating it 5 stars. Everybody's absolutely loving it. So if you already like the Legacy series, or if you picked it up and are enjoying it and having a good time, then obviously read it because you'll probably love it. I don't know if I probably should have just waited to read it, or not read books 1, 2, 3 at the beginning of the year and then book 4 right now. I don't know. Anyway, moving on, because now we have a great book to talk about, which of course was Jade City. And this was one that like I was saying at the beginning of this clip, I did not get to talk about a lot throughout this video because I didn't have much time to update. I don't know if I mentioned in this video, but I do work 2 jobs, and I went up to go see my boyfriend this weekend and last weekend, and he lives an hour away. So I just don't have that much time to just sit and physically read. That's why I've been reading a lot of audiobooks lately. But this one I did read physically and absolutely ate it up. I cannot wait to continue this series. I'm probably gonna pick up book 2 in January at some point. Basically, Jade City is revolving around, they call them green bones. This is like Green Bone Saga, I'm pretty sure is what the series is called. So the green bones are the people that are able to wield jade in this world, and to wield jade, you basically wear it as jewelry. So you can wear it as like a bracelet, necklace, earrings, or like embed it into your skin. And when you wear the jade, you basically just become an enhanced human. So you can move faster, you can see things coming at you like a lot slower. That way you have more time to react. You can use your perception, so you can kind of perceive what people are thinking or what their motives are, or like their feelings. And there's some other things you can do with it too, but you basically just become like better than everybody else. So the green bones are the people who can wield the jade without having any negative side effects, which we'll get into in a little bit because technically you can. But they basically are split into different clans. So there is the 2 main clans that are in this world are the No Peak clan, which is the one that we're following, and then the Mountain clan, which is the other big family. There are like smaller clans as well, but the 2 main ones are No Peak and Mountain. And what's happening in this book is that a lot is changing, where as far as like who is the leader. So the No Peak clan, the guy, they call him the Pillar, that's who is like the top guy. The Pillar in this world is very old, so it got passed down to his grandson, whose name is Lan. And then also in the Mountain clan, their stuff kind of got shifted around recently as well too, so now that is a new person that is the Pillar for their clan as well. So just a lot is changing in this world, and a lot is changing as far as who is in power, and the politics is a big part of this book, because now that new people are in power, there's new motives and new wants and needs, and people wanting to change some laws and go about things a different way, and it's causing some rifts, some problems. And it's so interesting because the new people that are in charge, so the one of the Mountain Clan, she is very like headstrong and fierce and like violent almost, because she killed a lot of people to get her position. And then Lon, who's the new pillar of the No Peak Clan, he's trying to maintain peace. Like his main focus in being the new pillar is that he wants to rule with peace and happiness and like make sure everybody's happy and calm. Whereas his younger brother, who they call him the Horn, so basically the Horn is the person that is the highest up for the guard, like the people who are in charge of like keeping people in line, basically. Does that even make sense? He's like the highest up as far as like the fighter, I guess. I don't know. What am I trying to say? Anyway, that's his little brother, and so he's more violent and more fierce, and so that is causing some problems with the other clan. Now, what I was trying to come back to with the Jade is that only the Greenbones can wield the Jade, but if any other person, like any normal person that lives in this world, tried to put on Jade, it becomes a problem because their bodies aren't meant to wield the Jade, so they get this thing that's called the itches, and so they basically just start like going crazy, and then they end up dying because their body can't handle wearing the Jade. The Greenbones can also get the itches if they put on too much Jade at one time, or if they are wearing too much Jade, it can cause some problems with them as well. So it's just a very interesting magic system, a very interesting world. It definitely gives like mafia vibes, but set in a fantasy world. But it doesn't feel like a fantasy world. Like the only fantasy part of it is the Jade. So if you enjoy that vibe, I definitely would recommend this. I rated it 4.5 stars, and I think that the other books in the series have potential of definitely being a 5-star. I'm so excited to pick those up and read them at some point. This is probably one of the only books that when I got to the end, how some books have like the little interview questions in the back, I read the entire thing. Like I could not get enough. I was so intrigued and so interested in how this author like came up with this story. And one of the things that I really wanted to talk about was this question. It says, what if any research did you did in preparation for this book? And she talked about how she did so much research from not just like Asian cultures, but so many different cultures to come up with this story. So she said she read nonfiction and watched documentaries about the Sicilian and Italian American mafia and the Chinese triads and the Japanese Yakuza, watched American gangster movies and Hong Kong crime dramas and Yakuza films and Kung Fu flicks and karate knife fighting tutorials on YouTube. I read nearly everything written by Mario Puzo, researched Chicago during Prohibition and the gangs of New York in the 19th century. I learned about blood diamonds in Africa and jade mining in Myanmar and drug cartels in Mexico. I researched the economic rise of Asian nations in the 20th century. I collected photographs of cityscapes of people and food. I went through travel guides and scrutinized the maps of Taipei and the Hong Kong and Singapore area. I let it all settle into my brain and then set it aside and wrote. And I just thought that was so cool. Anyway, love this book. 10 out of 10 recommend this series, especially if you like fantasy. Very long-winded reviews of the 3 books I read in this video. These 2 plus Dawn of Chaos and Fury. Love. I had so much fun filming this. And I'm already filming my next video, which is completing my A to Z challenge for the 2025 year. And here's a little sneak peek because I did not have a letter E, so Enigma is my letter E for that video. So if you want to watch that video, that will be posted next, hopefully a week from now. And yeah, thank you for watching. I had so much fun, and hopefully I can get more into posting YouTube because I really do want to. I just always end up filming a whole bunch of clips and then never finishing the video or editing it and posting it. So hopefully this is my comeback, you know. Hopefully we'll be posting more from here on out because I really do want to. I want to so bad. I just always end up not completing it. So this is my comeback, hopefully. But yeah, I will see you next week in my A to Z challenge video, and until then, have a wonderful rest of your day.